People told me I couldn't do a lot of things.
I feel like I'm the chosen one.
Look at this. We created this. This didn't exist before we were here. All we are is proud and passionate. I love Toronto. I love this team. And we're going to the NBA Finals. Let's go!
Nothing matters but winning.
You're going to the NBA Finals for the first time in your career.
Canada, the NBA title is yours. The Toronto Raptors are the 2019 NBA champions.
And we are back for episode 5 of Rapzville Weekly. I'm your co-host, Gabriel Chelio, along with my other co-host,
Adam Casucci.
And today we are going to be talking about ranking our top 5 Raptors moments in history. So these ones are based off personal preference. We're going to do 5 of my top 5 and then Adam's top 5. And then after that, we're going to hit some special editions that we didn't think quite made it, but it's also something memorable for us. And then after that, we're going to get to the Raptors' top 5 disappointing/humiliating moments in history. So without further ado, let's just start with the top 5. We're going to go 5th and work our way back to number 1. So for me, number 5, I got Vince Carter versus Tracy Mcgrady dunk contest in the year 2000. So the two cousins faced off for probably the best dunk contest in history. The only other one I know that is almost up there is the one in Toronto between Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine. But this one has it all. You got Shaq's facial reactions when he's got his camcorder out and he's recording the whole game. You got Kenny the Jet Smith, some of the most legendary, memorable comments. Let's go home. It's over. Those ones, definitely something they go down in history. And it was definitely a back and forth. Tracy got 45 in his first dunk, 49 in his second, 50 on the third. Carter got 50 on the first, then 49, then 50 again. And they take the best 2 out of 3 there. So they both had really high scores. And it was just fantastic. These one-handed windmills, two-handed windmills, 360 windmills through the legs. All these dunks were just absolutely phenomenal. And I think a huge moment in Raptors history because that kind of put us on the map of our players, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter at the time, both making the dunk contest. They really grew in popularity and people were realizing the athletic ability they both carried and the young stars that they were at the time and the stars they'd be in the near future. And after that, you got Vince Carter trying the Jordan free throw dunk. It was a foot in the line, but still, it brought a lot of traction to the Raptors franchise, seeing these two big names go at it in one of the most memorable dunk contests ever. Moving on to my 4th moment, I have Lowry's step-back game winner versus the Cavaliers. This was a big game for Kyle Lowry. It's up there for me just because Lowry is one of my all-time favorite players. I love him. He's a key piece to our franchise, and it's been fantastic seeing him throughout the year, playing as good as he has, especially late in his career as he's getting a lot much older now. But seeing him score his career high was a big moment for all Raptors fans, especially an astonishing 43 points against the Cavaliers, who were one of the top teams at the time, ended up winning the championship that year. And he had a phenomenal shot. It was a step-back, game-winning 2-pointer, just under 4 seconds remaining. It was one of the most clutchest moments of his career, as he hasn't really hit any of those big shot buzzer beaters before that, and this did a good job of leading up to the player he is today. Eventually seeing him win an NBA championship and play phenomenal basketball in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, where he started off with that hot run. It started with growing his career out and playing the way he has at the beginning of his career. In a moment like this, where he has to be clutch and play hard, this is where he gains that experience from. And seeing Lowry and DeMar hugging at the end, DeMar hyping him up, it was fun to see as well. Moving on to number 3, I have Giannis's poster by Kawhi. This is the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6. We were down 15 with 2 minutes left in the third, and the comeback was on. Momentum was swinging in our favor during the fourth quarter. And then eventually in the fourth quarter, building up to the peak of our lead, Lowry steals the ball, hands it off to Kawhi, who slams it, dunks it on Giannis's head, sends us on our 14-1 run with just under 7 minutes to go. It was a huge momentum swing, a huge poster with the left hand over Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the best defensive players in the league. And it was emphasizing the emphatic point of the series where we knew that we were heading to the finals and we were so close. We just needed to keep the lead and hold on. And it was such a big play, so much momentum. The fans were all into it and we were getting that much closer to the NBA Finals. So such a big poster like that meant a lot in our playoff run and overall in Raptors history. Which takes me on to number 2, the shot. Kawhi Leonard, Game 7, versus the 76ers in the series before the Bucks. This is the Eastern Conference semifinals. Definitely the biggest moment, second, because we got number one still, but the second biggest moment in Raptors history. Definitely the biggest play in Raptors history. You got Kawhi Leonard catching the ball, a couple seconds to go, running around to the corner, pull up, dagger, couple bounces, but it eventually drops. And just the energy of when that shot finally landed, hearing the crowd get so hyped, me being there, the energy in the arena, the energy around the world, the commentary, a shot that's never been hit like that for a buzzer beater in Game 7 to win the series. It was just absolutely unreal, kind of redemption for Vince Carter's missed shot against 76ers, which we'll be talking about later. But the magnitude of this shot was just astronomical, as it was something that's never been done before, and it was such a big shot, so clutch, and one player to hit something like that shows like Kawhi's significance to this team, and it solidified the reason that we got him on this team and why we traded for him was he has big plays like that. He pulls up clutch, and he does things like that. And that leads us to number one. Obviously, we won the chip. As I called it here, I like my chips with a dip. That's what I take my moment as. The top moment in Raptors history is obviously winning our first ever franchise championship. It's unreal. Definitely a moment that will never be forgotten. The commentary, Matt Devlin at the end of the game, Canada, the NBA championship is yours. Just something you can never forget. Hearing those words, they sink in your brain, and seeing Drake celebrating, having fun after when he said, "I like my chips with the dip." The Raptors 6-6, Lowry winning his first ring. It's just poetic, and he was right. Yeah. It was like a fairy tale story seeing the season play out and the playoffs play out, and I'm glad that we finally got to witness it. We were both 18, good age to finally watch our favorite team win our championship. Is definitely, I think, the biggest moment in history, and obviously the fans would agree also.
Okay, Gabe. I'm gonna bring it over to my top 5 Raptors moments in history. I'm going to start off at 5 with Carter's dunk contest, the It's Over moment. In 2000, the Raptors had 2 contestants in the Cousins, T-Mac, and VC facing off against each other. T-Mac didn't have the best showing, as his teammate, obviously, VC, took over the show. Pretty incredible. In Carter's first dunk, he did a vicious windmill slam, hopping around afterwards, causing Shaq's famous facial reaction with the mouth open. And even bringing Dikembe Mutombo to his feet. No. The crowd stood up and all put up their 10 signs, showing the judges, which then did give him a 50. His second dunk, he started behind the hoop and did a 360 windmill to bring the crowd to their feet again, making Isaiah Thomas, former Raptors GM, smirk, and then earned him a 49 on his second dunk. The third dunk was a modern-day Zach LaVine replica with Tracy McGrady bouncing the ball in front of Carter using his cousin, which makes sense, and him putting it through his legs and finishing with authority. Then Carter signaled it's over with his famous gesture. Pretty iconic moment. Fourth dunk was a one-handed slam, putting his whole half of his arm in the rim. His final dunk was an attempt to jump at the free throw line, but landed a foot in, still finishing with 2 hands and with style. But he did win the dunk contest, which was pretty incredible. Now moving on to Fred VanVleet's 12-point fourth quarter, 4 threes in Game 6 to seal the deal. Freddie was having an amazing series and playoff run. And if you didn't know, Freddie is obviously my favorite player. He was astonishing in that fourth quarter when it mattered most, like he always has been in his career through Auburn High School, Wichita State, Toronto 905, and obviously with the Raptors. He's been a winner every year, everywhere he went, which shows what he's all about. The game was tight, as Fred usually does play fourth quarters instead of Danny Green at that time. He started off with banging a 3 in DeMarcus's cousin's mouth with his fast release using the Marcus Sol screen. His second 3 was with Curry guarding him tightly.
That was tough.
But still found a way to manufacture enough space to let it fly, and he made it. He then was fouled from 3 by Sean Livingston, making all free throws from the line. His fourth 3 was a snatchback pull-up 3 on Quinn Cook.
Disgusting.
After he made that shot, he went over to the Raptors bench after G State called a timeout and screamed. As we know, it was all over social media, that famous scream that Freddie did.
Iconic.
and we knew it was his time to shine. Moving on to number 3, the Raptors parade downtown. It was a scorching hot day. Unfortunately, I was not able to go because of school exams, but ended up not studying that day anyways, as I watched the whole parade on TV. Seeing thousands of people flood the streets of downtown Toronto to cheer on the reigning champs. Seeing all the different characters of the Raptors players go into full party mode as they celebrated the championship. Marc Gasol was going crazy with the bottle.
Animal.
Pascal Siakam was waving that Cameroon flag. There's a lot of different characters there. And the ceremony at the end was beautiful as all the big names spoke about the road to the championship, as well as Mayor John Tory giving Kawhi Leonard the key to the city in honor of his play. Then the Kawhi laugh was pretty funny, him coming up to the mic and doing his famous laugh. And it ended off with Matt Devlin saying that that Toronto, the NBA championship is yours, which was a pretty cool moment as well. Moving on to number 2, the shot, obviously Kawhi in Game 7. That game was back and forth leading up to it, with Kawhi missing the big free throw to put the Raps up by 3. Jimmy Butler came down the other end and took it to the rim, scoring a contested layup, tying the game. Kawhi had a great game keeping the Raptors in it with his magnificent play throughout the game, but did miss that free throw. So we all knew Kawhi and Nurse had something coming for the final 4.2 seconds. Kawhi loved fading on the right side of the court, so Nurse obviously drew up a handoff, giving Kawhi the ball, and made Kawhi run right and fade for the game. Understanding how much pressure he had if he missed the shot, he turned the corner and pulled up and got the 4 bounces, and luckily it rolled in as the Raptors won Game 7 in surreal fashion. Kawhi was already near the Raps bench and screamed as all the Raptors players rejoiced, which another iconic social media picture with Kawhi screaming in the corner in the Raptors bench. And then my first one obviously has to be the Raptors winning their first NBA championship, bringing it back to the ending plays of the fourth quarter in Game 6 with Pascal Siakam making the big basket and with Kawhi Leonard making the clutch free throws when Iguodala fouled him, Curry missing the 3, and Draymond calling a timeout when the Warriors had none remaining. It was a beautiful scene at the end with Lowry and Kawhi in the backcourt when the buzzer sounded. Being the underdog, it felt even sweeter. Being doubted, even though we played well, getting to the finals was just incredible. Another iconic part to it was Kyle Lowry being interviewed by Doris Burke, the analyst, with him saying how he felt about the championship was pretty cool. And he expressed that in the interview.
I remember Baca was hanging off the net when the buzzer went off. And I just wanted to say also in Game 7 against the 76ers I think that game was really back and forth. And I really think that Butler was playing amazing, especially at the end when he hit that clutch shot. I feel like if it went to OT, he would have really put up a fight and it might have meant the end of our season. So Kawhi, thank God he hit that shot. And that's the magnitude of that shot just increases tenfold just because of the significance. Now moving on to the special edition. So we're going to start off with 2018 of March. We have DeMar DeRozan's poster dunk and 1 versus the Detroit Pistons. I remember this play. It's one of my favorites. I remember watching it on TV. There was about 5 seconds left. DeMar DeRozan catches the inbound, runs full court, finds the open lane, and just absolutely slams it on a defender. Gets an and 1 play to take the lead in the fourth quarter. And he hits the free throw, which puts us up by 2, and I believe Blake Griffin ended up sending it to overtime. But it was an absolutely monster dunk and one of my favorites in Raptors history of an absolute huge clutch play because there's a lot of power in that dunk and it was a dominating poster. That, and then in that same game, in OT, he had that same drive to the basket, but instead kicked it out to FEV in the corner, who was shooting horrible from 3 that game, but he trusted in his teammates and he eventually hit a big shot. So that's definitely one of my favorite moments is that game there. Another one of my special editions is Pascal Siakam's 37 versus the Suns. Obviously, he's had a great season this year, and he's scored a lot of high-point games. One of his, I think this is his second highest scoring in the season. I can't remember fully, but I think it's second highest. I was at this game versus the Suns. That's why it's up there as one of my top, because I witnessed one of his top scoring nights. He had a great game versus the Suns. Something about the Suns he has this special luck with. That's where he scored his first buzzer beater. But it was a good game to watch. He had a couple of great buckets, and that's why it's up there for me, just because I was present for that game. And then another one I put was DeMar DeRozan's game winner versus the Knicks. He was backing down Derrick Rose around the top of the key. He's backing him down. Eventually, shimmy shakes, hits a fadeaway, his go-to move, And I remember after he hits that shot, he has like this stank face, and Lowry comes to hug him. And it was just one of my favorite moments to see. And I used to always rewatch that. It was one of my favorite because he never really hit too many big shots or clutch shots, buzzer beaters. So when DeRozan hit that, I loved it. And going back to the poster against the Pistons, right after he hits the poster, he has that same type of stank face. And then Kyle Lowry jumps on him and then just goes away all smiling, and he swings his hand in the air all happy because DeMar hit this clutch dunk. So those are two of my top moments just from DeMar being here and our players' reactions to the events. Adam, what about you? What do you got for your special editions?
So I had Kyle Lowry's half-court buzzer beater versus the Heat to force OT in round 2, game 1. They did not come out successful at the end of that game, but it was just a miracle heave from Kyle Lowry, and it went in, and it was honestly an incredible shot.
One of the biggest buzzer beaters.
It was game 1 too. It was game 1, and it was like it's such a good way to like start off the series. I know they ended up losing.
We did win the series.
That's okay. Yeah. I also have Jonas Valanciunas' dunk versus Milwaukee to force OT. Dwane Casey setting up the play with the fake, and feeding the ball to Jonas in the post, and then him making a fake to hand it off, and then him just running with the ball to the basket and dunking it, falling
Lithuanian
on the floor
lightning
to beat the buzzer. That was honestly incredible, and just laying on the floor after everyone picking him up.
Loved it.
Yep. One of my favorites was the 30-point comeback versus the Mavericks. Nick Nurse's schemes, the defensive end, just putting in a high college press basketball type game here. They were down by a lot of points. They put in the bench unit to kind of get us back. Chris Boucher, Terrence Davis, Rondé, all these guys contributing heavily in this game. And they slowly came back with Kyle Lowry, another great performance here versus the Mavericks, and winning that game and making it a 30-point comeback, which is the most in their history. Another one is the franchise and career high 52-point night for DeMar DeRozan versus the Bucks in 2018. He did hit 5 threes, which he is not known for making, and 21 points in the first quarter. I'm very glad that he passed T. Ross and Vince at 51. I remember watching this game. I was on vacation, and I was watching this game on a laptop over in Dominican Republic, and I was going crazy as he hit the 5 threes, and he was just playing amazing that night, scoring 52 and having the franchise record for most points in a game.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to be doing the top 5 disappointing and humiliating Raptors moments in history. This is part 2, second segment of our episode. And we're going to, once again, work 5 to 1 here. So number 5, we have Vince Carter's exit due to management issues and lack of effort. So in 2004, Vince Carter made it apparent to the team that he wanted to leave. And he said that it was due to upper management issues. He had a lot of problems, and basically he kind of just lashed out against the team, started playing a lot worse, not playing to his full potential, didn't really try. There's rumors that he told other players like what their team's plays were going to be. There's rumors that he faked and embellished injuries. We covered this last episode with the trade histories, but to reignite it again, it's obviously one of the big moments in Raptors history. Very disappointing to us as one of our star franchise players at the time, Vince Carter, who gave us a bunch of our first playoff runs and absolutely great statistical seasons. He had 25, 27 points per game a season. And to come to this point where he basically just stopped playing and totally just disrespected the franchise, it was very disappointing to see him leave after all that we've done for him. We drafted him, we developed him, and then eventually we had to watch him go from scoring 15 points a game when he was with us in 2004 to dropping 27.5 points per game the same season with the New Jersey Nets when he actually played to his full potential. And in his first game back, he did end up torching us and winning that game. So it was very disappointing in history seeing someone as big as him walk out, and to do that to our franchise is really disrespectful. So number 4 now, we have Paul Pierce's block on Kyle Lowry. This is Game 7 of the first round of the playoffs back in 2014. So Toronto Raptors, they were 3rd in the Eastern Conference at the time, and they finally broke their Bargnani curse of not making the playoffs. They had a good season overall, 48-34 record, and with 6 seconds left on the clock, Vasquez inbounds the ball to Lowry. He's got 2 guys on him. He's pushing through 2 big men, somehow squirms his way by and puts up a desperate floater to win the series. He just chucked it up, But Paul Pierce is right there, and Raptors playoff season come to a sad end. And this started the shortcomings against Paul Pierce as we got swept in the first round the next year by him in the Washington Wizards. And he averaged 24.4 points per game against the Raptors in his prime years of 1998 to 2013. He was one of those ultimate villains for the Raptors that we couldn't really break through.
Always.
And this is one of our first real chances at, once again, making the playoffs and trying to get some type of successful run going, because we had hope in this young core that we got third in the conference with, one of our highest placings. And once again, it was a disappointing season. So another disappointing moment in Raptors history, in my opinion.
Okay, now moving on to number 3 with Kawhi Leonard leaving to the Clippers in free agency, 2019, obviously very recent. Leaving after a long free agency for Toronto, teaming up with Paul George at the Clippers. He was rumored to have met at Drake's house and spoke about teaming up next year with Paul George, which I feel is a bit strange. I don't know why he would do that, but I guess he wanted to return home really badly. Also, there were rumors that Kawhi's uncle wanted parts of the Raptors' ownership if Kawhi were to stay. I feel like that's unreasonable as well. Parts of the Raptors' ownership, and he just only stayed 1 year. That's pretty unreasonable. It was such a big decision that everyone started calling it the Kawhi Watch. On the news, they were following Kawhi with helicopters, and they were very passionate to see where he would go and what interview he would do next. They were following him and his family everywhere he went. He did end up leaving for the Clippers with Paul George, which was so disappointing. After all, just winning a ring with Toronto and having won Toronto's first ever championship. We all knew he wanted to return home, but I don't know how he could have done it after winning a championship.
Yeah, not a lot of players do that.
And especially there was an underdog story attached to it. It made it even better. He also did take less money with the Clippers on a $103 million deal for 3 years. Toronto was offering him way more in a four-year deal worth $141 million, or a 5-year deal worth $190 million. Danny Green also left as his friend Kawhi left, which showed his character and waited for Kawhi, even though he said earlier that he would love to stay. I feel this was very disrespectful for the franchise. Danny Green, I think he should have stayed. He was doing well with us. I know he's a veteran. I know he got offered a contract by the Lakers, and I just felt he should have stayed. I mean, he was doing well here. There's no reason to just follow someone else just because they left as well.
Yeah. And
I felt that was disrespectful by him. Loyalty is a big thing when it comes to being the best player in Raptors history, and that's why, in my opinion, Kyle Lowry has the edge over Kawhi because he's done so much more for the franchise. Moving to number 2, Vince Carter missing the Game 7 winner versus 76ers in 2001. Iverson versus Carter, 2 fast, athletic, dominant stars in the year 2001. The Raptors were 5th in the Eastern Conference with a 47-35 record. Carter arguably had the best season of his career, averaging 27.6 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.9 assists. Meanwhile, the 76ers went 56-26 and ended up losing in the finals that year versus the Lakers. What could have happened if Toronto been there, you know? However, this was AI's MVP season, averaging 31 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. The Raptors took Game 1 in a close victory. Then AI proceeded to drop 54 points in Game 2 to tie the series. Wow. And eventually Carter returned the favor by dropping 50 in Game 3 to take the lead. The 76ers went on to take Game 4 with 30 points from Iverson, and then Game 5 as well, with a 52-point performance from AI, now leading 3-2 after the
huge numbers.
After that, Carter's 39-point game forced the Game 7. Big clutch performance by Vince Carter there. Overall, they faced in a phenomenal duel that led to this Game 7 in Philly. With 2 seconds to go, down by 1, the Raptors inbounded the ball, and Carter pulled up for a 2-pointer, but sadly missed the game winner. That could have sent his team to their first ever Eastern Conference Finals, and who knows, maybe the Finals as well. Definitely very disappointing to a young and hungry Raptors franchise who had only made the playoffs one other time. Very sad, and that's why it's not number 2 in our list. Number 1 would have to be LeBron James Game 3 buzzer beater. Recent thing over OG Anunoby which led to sweep in 2018, losing 3 years in a row. After losing in the Eastern Conference Finals 4-2 in 2016 against the Cavaliers, the Raptors proceeded to get swept 4-0 the next 2 seasons against LeBron and the Cavs in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Like Paul Pierce, LeBron was that unstoppable villain, had that killer mentality that always bested our franchise and kept us hopeless. One huge moment was his buzzer beater in Game 3 back in 2018. Down 21 at one point in the third, the Raptors hustled the comeback story to keep their season alive, which would have been incredible. Eventually, OG hits the biggest shot of his career, probably a 3-ball to tie the game, 103-103. And then with 8 seconds to go, LeBron ran down the full court and hit a one-leg leaning floater off the backboard to win the game and sink our playoff hopes down the drain. Very sad, man. I wish we had that moment back. This put us down 3-0 after losing both of our home games and really put all of the fans and players in a hopeless, sad state. This was part of the finalization from Masai Ujiri, deciding on making big franchise changes such as trading DeMar and firing Dwane Casey.
For sure. Okay, so the special additions for this disappointing / humiliating Raptors moments, we got Mcgrady's trade exit as one of the first ones. So Mcgrady, just like his cousin Carter a couple years earlier, decided that he wanted out of the franchise. He did not like that the veterans didn't want to play there, and he wanted to play there really bad. He enjoyed the team. He wanted to play with the veterans and his cousin, and Vince Carter tried to persuade him to stay, but Mcgrady just had enough with the upper management along with the veterans that seemed to not want to play. And he was a big name at the time. He was growing his name just after the dunk contest with his cousin, Vince Carter. They both were rising stars in Toronto and in the NBA, and they were becoming well-known. And he took that opportunity to move his talents to Orlando. And he basically had enough of the franchise. And as well, he had a little bit of regret of what if he stayed and what if he treated the trade a little bit differently. But definitely another disappointing moment in history is seeing someone as big name as him leave our team. So another special edition we have just off of last season alone is just Jeremy Lamb's lucky half-court buzzer beater. That I put in there just because I remember watching it this season, March of 2019, March 2019, last season. 3 seconds left, down by 2 off the inbound. Siakam pokes the ball away from Jeremy Lamb. He's behind half court. They're like, okay, we won the game. There we go. Hard-fought game. We won it. Nope, Jeremy Lamb picks it up, 1 second left, and chucks up a prayer to win it. And somehow he manages to sink it. And the Charlotte commentators going crazy, and the Raptors fans are like, okay, great. Are you kidding me? And it just sucks to lose a game like that. It's just up there, in my opinion, just as watching the games, losing away like that, it just stinks. And for me, I'm not going to forget a buzzer beater like that. So I thought, in my opinion, it's up there as one of the, just disappointing moments to be a fan and to watch a game like that.
No, for sure, Gabe. That was a very lucky play by Jeremy Lamb. Now moving on to my special editions, the Chris Bosh sign and trade exit in 2010. The Raptors signing Chris Bosh and then trading him away for a couple first round picks from Miami. That was a very sad day as we saw another legend from the Toronto Raptors, Chris Bosh, leave. He was joining D Wade and LeBron in Miami, so I guess he wanted to win a
super
ring.
Team.
Moving in the later stages of his career, he just wanted to win. And Chris Bosh, I mean, he's done so much for the franchise, but it was for sure really sad to see him go. Moving on to my next one, Reggie Bullock's buzzer beater for Dwane Casey's revenge game. This one, Dwane Casey coaching for the Pistons. Nick Nurse is our head coach. Reggie Bullock at the end of the game just hits a running floater and beats us, and that was the first game back, and that was a nice achievement, I guess, for Dwane Casey, and he kind of got revenge on us, but not really, as we did win the championship, so it's not really a
total loss.
A total loss. Exactly.
It was just annoying seeing him just sneak in there. No one was really paying attention. He just kind of snuck behind. We had bad defense, and we just lost to our former coach, and he kind of just laughed for a little bit. So we did the last laugh, but it kind of just sucked watching that play happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. We finished our top 5 disappointing / humiliating Raptors moments in history and our top 5 Raptors moments in history. So, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed. Everyone stay safe during this coronavirus quarantine, along with the protests going on. And, anything else, Adam?
Yep. That's about it.
So, thank you all for watching. Take care. That's us signing out. Peace.
Peace.